It's Whatever Wednesday. I'm Greg, he's Ben, and what are we drinking today?
Early times.
You know, sometimes this job's a bore.
Well, it's just sometimes the whiskey we drink is a bore on Whatever Wednesday, because this is when we drink weird stuff. You know, so let's bring it in.
right.
We've got, bam, this is Early Times Kentucky whiskey with no E.
Oh, really? No E?
No E.
This is by far the most interesting thing I've heard in the last minute.
Yeah. So maybe when I said Early Times, well, they've seen the thumbnail, but
Okay, sure.
because I love Early Times bottled in bond.
And
It's one of my favorites.
We're guessing this is exactly that, but cheaper.
Nope. So I think this is still owned by
Brown-Forman?
Brown-Forman.
Okay.
This is, from what I understand, I believe it's a mix of bourbon and like light whiskey.
But you said it's in used casks.
Yes, so it says
So
it's aged at least 36 months in reused cooperage, aged in oak for a taste worth the wait. So
they took bourbon barrels that were used, and then they refilled
I'm assuming
them.
bourbon barrels.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so I'm guessing this is just,
80 proof.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't need any more than that.
So it's a blended whiskey at 80 proof
Blended
in used barrels.
Blended mostly with water.
Yeah, exactly. It's an even blend of bourbon and light whiskey and then 80% water.
Yeah.
So I bought this bottle just because it was cheap. I actually bought this a couple of years ago. It's just been sitting on the shelf. I bought it the night before COVID lockdowns. So this is a March 2020 purchase.
And I just chose a good one.
Yeah. Well, I actually intentionally bought a couple of cheap whiskeys
The world is ending. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go high quantity, low quality.
Yes, exactly. No,
This is a liter, by the way.
Yeah, I bought them just to compare a couple of budget. I bought this in Benchmark.
Oh, nice.
And I already had
Sure.
a bunch of other stuff. So I was like, well, I'll just, try a couple of things. I remember I was just in the liquor store. I was like, I'll just try a couple of these weird budget pours I kind of heard about. So I haven't had this in a very long time. So I don't really, that's how much damage I've done to it in 2 years. It's a space filler on the shelf, I guess. Huh.
Oh, well. I got something.
Yeah, there's a little bit going on.
No,
in
I
the
got
nose.
something way different than normal.
But I mean, there's something there. It's not like
Do they
just water.
Do they make cinnamon graham crackers? I think they do.
If not,
I think they do.
we'll edit this part out so we can patent that. When I say we, I mean
Well,
me. I'm stealing it from you.
Oh, now I just got something else. I'm getting some serious, interesting flavors. They are nowhere near bourbon.
It's a little graham crackery. I'm with you on that.
No, I'm getting a note. What is that?
I'm with you on the cinnamon too, actually. But it's a weird kind of cinnamon. It's a weird kind of spice.
I'm getting a weird spice. It reminds me of a food. It's not a whiskey kind of note traditionally.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a weird, interesting kind of dark spice.
It's Lipton black tea.
Ah.
It is Lipton iced tea. 100%.
I am on a little bit getting the caramel water. Like when you get a super low proof bourbon, it's like caramel and sugar water. I'm getting a little bit of that. But there is more of that kind of dark spice on top of there than you would expect, especially out of used casks.
All I'm getting is.
Well, let's go in for it.
Here we
I don't
go.
know how interesting we can possibly make this bottle. Let's see.
Oh, it's like it's the roller coaster. It's going up the hill. It's going up the hill, and you think it's gonna get there, and it doesn't get there. There was one little hint. Oh wow! At the end,
I feel like it's more like you get in the roller coaster, you sit down, you put the thing on, and then the guy comes up and punches you in the face and doesn't start the roller coaster.
No, it's
That's what I got out of
No,
this.
you hear the click, 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 and you think it's gonna go somewhere.
Maybe the click, click, click was the fact that there was at least something coming across on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't taste good at all. And I still took another sip for all of you.
So I'm gonna disagree with you slightly, and this is no absolute endorsement. I'm getting serious black tea flavor notes.
Yeah.
Like it drinks like a
I don't know what black tea tastes like.
So it drinks like a very, very too strong iced tea. And that's not a bad thing. Like, I don't dislike the flavors. I don't think it's anywhere near bourbon. I know it's not bourbon, it's a whiskey. It's almost like a strong iced tea. Like it's mismarketed.
It's got like a...
Are you an iced tea aficionado?
I like iced tea. But
with,
I mean...
But with no sugar.
Oh, God, no.
Okay, like this drinks like iced tea with no sugar in it.
Who possibly drinks that shit?
Well, I don't. Like
I've never understood unsweetened tea.
Well, so I add sugar to it, but
Right.
I've had enough that I know what the unsweet part tastes like.
Do you know what unsweetened tea reminds me of? Is when you brought up the other day when you put just the cinnamon on the butter on the toast
Yeah,
and no sugar.
That's exactly
That's a good
comparison.
No, I'm getting like, I don't want to say sour, but it's edging into that sour note that you kind of get on some cheap, super cheap, not aged, proof down bourbons. I'm getting to the point with watered down bourbons, like the 80 proof, that it's almost starting to taste kind of gross to me. Like, not in the sense that I think it's just bad because it's too watered down or whatever. It creates a flavor that I'm just starting to find genuinely offensive and off-putting. And that's why I don't particularly like my bourbon cold anyway, but I don't like ice in it because I don't like what the water does
to it.
That much water does to the flavor of it. It creates a thing that I find very off-putting.
I have to admit something.
Here it is, folks.
Yep.
We just want to let you know, Greg, whatever you're about to say.
No, I think you'll be okay with this one. I poured a bourbon the other day. This was 2-3 days ago. And it was a kind of a bit of a bigger pour. It was like I was going to go sit on the deck and,
Yeah.
I took one sip, walked over to the sink. First time in my life, I literally poured it down the drain.
Are you going to tell us what it was?
It was Benchmark.
Yeah.
I just wasn't in the mood for a mediocre bourbon.
I would say mediocre is awfully kind of you.
So then I went the other direction to the other place where I store bourbon in my house.
To the bourbon wall.
To the bourbon wall. And I got a Jack Daniel's Private Barrel Select. And I poured a not quite as big of a pour. Because that's about
and you enjoyed it.
That's about the best thing I could have poured. I've been really impressed with that bottle.
Was it the barrel proof or just the single barrel?
The barrel proof.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
so you went from Benchmark at 80 proof to yours 133 proof? Yeah.
And it's just about the best thing I have in my house right now. I'm absolutely impressed with those recently.
It's really good. This is not.
No, I actually really like iced tea, and I get a ton of iced tea flavor. So I don't consider this to be off-putting, but I don't consider it to be a good whiskey.
Right.
So I don't know what you would do with this. Would you mix it with Coke? It's not going to be good in Coke.
I think if you mix it with Coke where you just want to taste the Coke more with some alcohol in it.
True.
I don't know what people are looking for in whiskey and Cokes because I just don't particularly like them. I mean, I love Coke, but I don't like cocktails with Coke. For some reason, those two flavors, they're complete opposites for me.
I agree that I like Coke as a flavor, but I don't like Coke and whiskey of any kind because I don't like that flavor.
Yeah.
So either you put so little whiskey in, what's the point? Or you put so much whiskey
then it makes
in
it just bad.
Exactly.
So remember, I've said in a previous video, I did find a cocktail that when I was experimenting with it at least, I did it with a really nice bourbon and did it with an actual crap bourbon, and they both tasted about the same.
Yeah.
And I don't have one of the ingredients I need to make it, otherwise we could film a video of that real quick and release it, but we will put that video out probably in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And it's a good video of here's what to do with your bad bourbon. Here's a cocktail that's good for using bad bourbon because it's a great cocktail, but it really covers up. It doesn't taste like whiskey. You know what we should do is film what to do with bad bourbon, and then use your Pappy 23 and put that in one of those and just have people go crazy. Sure. Do I have a Pappy 23?
I was just let it go, just play along.
Yeah, we'll take my Pappy. No, you know what we should use is my bottle of OFC.
Oh.
It's on the 2-minute warning anyway. I was mixing whiskey Cokes with it all weekend last weekend, and
You can get that Wild Turkey actually signed by Jimmy Russell.
Yeah, absolutely. The one from 1973.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, before we get on too much of a tangent here. This has been Early Times on Whatever Wednesday. This is a not recommend for me, even at its cheap price point, you know.
This one's hard for me. I genuinely like it at maybe $5. Like,
$5.
like I don't know how much it cost, and there's so many.
I think this was like, I think in a normal liquor store with normal liquor store prices, this would probably be about $13 to $15 or something.
But there are better choices.
Yeah. Get
At
yourself
that
an
price.
Evan Williams Black at that
Totally.
point for the same price.
It's triple the flavor,
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
a good quality bourbon.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is for.
It's certainly not for sipping neat, and I don't think that was their intention.
It probably isn't.
That's what we
but-
do here on the Bourbon Note.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't know what it's for, and it's not how I drink whiskey.
Yeah.
So sorry, doesn't work for me.
All right, well, this has been Early Times on Whatever Wednesday. On the Bourbon Note, I'm Ben.
I'm Greg. Thanks for watching. Share this video with a friend. Cheers.